Meeting to order. This is the regular city council meeting of the Monaga City Council, April 13th, 2026. Roll call, Derwin Tomfrey,
Present.
Keith Warnemy,
Present.
Mike Netland, present, Bill Hodge. Bill, are you still with us?
He's muted.
He's with us, he's just muted. He was there.
Yeah.
And then Jody Bjornson's here, Brett Gagnon Pellick also present, and Chris Thorson. City engineer.
Oh, there's Bill back.
All right, there he is. All right, we'll stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, that gets us to the approval of the agenda. We got a couple changes there. Under new business, we need to add H. Learning Center discussion. We have somebody interested in that. We'll just have a little discussion on it. We won't act on it until the next meeting, but I want everybody to be aware.
Jody, what was it?
The Learning Center, we have some people interested in working in there again and paying some rent on it. So we'll have a discussion on it, but we won't act on it tonight. We'll wait till the next meeting to actually act on it.
Okay, got it. With this memorandum here, approve the plan for campground and beach.
Yeah, that'll be with Brian's report.
Yeah, is that possible to have it separated or is it just all one? Is that what the count?
It is separated. When he does his deal,
Okay.
it's got information in there.
Okay, it just said if there's gonna vote on it, we're gonna vote all on as one thing, or is it gonna be two separate actions?
Just what he has proposed.
Okay.
In there. It won't be for the whole.
Okay, yeah, I knew that the campground expansion, but it was just like the beach inflatable stuff.
Yeah, beach inflatables and then primitive site.
Yeah, I was just wondering if that's gonna be two separate things to vote on, just the beach stuff,
No, it'll be.
and then or is it just all for one?
All for one. And then that also is because I have to apply for the grant like tomorrow for it. So
Even for the inflatables? and stuff?
everything.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then there's also a change for number 11, closed session. It should not read preliminary allegation. It should read evaluation of the performance of city employee. And then just a note on the planning and zoning meeting that's on the 14th of May, not the 17th. 17th is Sunday.
Yeah, no, I don't think Larry would like that too much.
Anybody have anything else they wanted on the agenda or off the agenda? Move to approve as amended. All right.
So
Keith. All those in favor say aye.
I
Agenda's approved as amended. We didn't have any commission minutes.
No, I didn't get those done yet. Same with the work session. Those will be at the next meeting.
All right, that gets us into the new business. Or into the consent agenda, sorry. Anybody have anything in the consent agenda they want to pulled out, separated or anything? Just a question on the Works Institute, Brett, is that $640 for the both of you or $640 a piece?
That's per head.
So it'd be $1,280.
Yeah. Did I distinction?
And is that inside of our budget? Did we budget for that?
We did.
I had one question regarding the liquor store as well.
Yep.
There was just a snippet of information related to operations on Mondays. What spurred that? Was it somebody entertaining the idea of, just looking at how much we're making, or if there's some management decision to take a look at it regarding hours of operations.
At the last meeting or was it in our work
Is there a
session?
work session?
Mike had brought it up, just wondering about the Monday tabs, if it was worth it or not. So Heather went ahead and ran through the numbers.
Okay, good enough.
Did you see that in the weekly, Derwin? I put that in.
Yep.
Yeah, I think it was a standalone. It was just kind of, here's what was requested. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it was
in
your comments.
Yeah.
Yeah, I included her document.
Yeah.
Okay, just making sure.
Well, I don't know about document, but you had a write-up about it. But we do have to act on that one too, but all these have to be action, right?
You can,
No.
you can, do one single vote.
Anybody have any other questions on the consent agenda? We don't need the special motion on the evaluations.
No, I mean, the consent agenda is for routine business, and the council can vote on it all at once, or if the council wishes to pull one out, add it under new business, that'll be their prerogative.
Approval of the consent agenda. Right.
I just had one question for Ron. I know if we, for this, you said they have plow truck updates. Is that something major that you want the council to be aware of further, or is that something?
Just an update on.
Okay. Is that something you want to give a actual report on it?
I could say on it, just to let the council know, what's the information on the plow truck?
Okay.
I mean, did you want an update on it? So we ended up breaking down with the two plow trucks that last snowfall. One, the main front plow ended up busting on the Sterling. That we're having to get welded. And then the other plow truck, the antifreeze line, the steel one ended up rusting out.
I didn't know if it was something major, if you wanted that pulled. If that's it, I'll second the motion to approve the consent agenda.
Any other discussions? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those same sign. That agenda's approved. Alright. New business. LALS contract approval. We've been discussing that for a while. We're just waiting on that little bit of language that got squared away.
Yeah, that's it. Thanks to Chris and Renee at LELS. They found language that works under the FSLA portion, and they both gave their seal of approval.
Alright, wanna read off the resolution?
Yes, absolutely. This is resolution number 2026-12, resolution approving labor agreement between the city of Monaga and Law Enforcement Labor Services, Inc. Whereas Law Enforcement Labor Services, Inc., LELS, is the exclusive representative for certain city of Monaga employees. Whereas the city of Monaga and LELS met and negotiated over the terms of new labor agreement between the parties. Whereas the parties reached a tentative agreement for the terms of the new labor agreement. Whereas the Public Employees Relations Act requires that the city of Monaga execute a labor agreement and implement it in the form of a resolution. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the City Council of the City of Monaga, Minnesota as follows. 1. The labor agreement between the City of Monaga and Law Enforcement Labor Services, Inc. for January 1, 2026 through December 31st, 2028 is approved. The mayor and city clerk treasurer shall execute the agreement. 3. The City of Monaga shall implement this agreement, adopted by the City Council of the City of Monaga, Minnesota, this 13th day of April, 2026.
Move to adopt the resolution.
Second.
Keith, second.
Yep.
Any discussion?
Jed, I got one comment, if I may.
Yep.
I mean, based on, yours and Brett's experience in negotiating, and Keith as well, is there anything in this contract that we're approving tonight that, the concessions were excessive, or is it basically, I know it's all about the money sometimes, but in the language, I didn't get a chance to really read through the final, draft. Are you comfortable moving forward with what, was presented and agreed on?
Yes, there was no real language change other than that little bit that popped up at the end there, and it didn't change anything. It was just wording. And
Correct.
I don't even know why it got brought up because it didn't change a thing, but other than that, it was just on the pay end, which we're all aware of what we gave them there.
Thanks. Okay, that's all I need.
Any other discussion? Otherwise, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Approved. Donations.
This is resolution number 2026-13, a resolution accepting donations. Whereas the city of Monaga gratefully acknowledges the following donations: $2,000 from the Five Wing Arts Council in support of the Sounds of Spirit Lake event, and $500 from the Spirit Lake Association in support of aquatic weed management. Whereas these contributions help support community events and lake maintenance in Monaga. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the City Council of the City of Monaga, Minnesota, that the donations described above are hereby accepted with sincere appreciation. Adopted by the City Council of the City of Monaga, Minnesota, this the 13th day of April, 2026.
Motion to accept.
So
We'll give that to Darwin like he said. All those in favor of accepting these donations, say aye.
I,
Same sign, donations accepted and much appreciation. All right, comp time discussion. So we had brought to my attention that the comp time may not be working as the council intended, and I just want to make sure to get a consensus from the council on what we intended by it. Wasn't long ago, I know we approved schedules. People work from this time to this time. It's 8 hours a day, 30-minute lunch breaks, so on and so forth. So if somebody is clocking in 10 minutes early and then taking a 25-minute break instead of a 30-minute break, and then going until 4:30 regular stop time, that's 15 minutes a day of extra time. So currently, I think from what I understand, the way we do that, that's 1.5 time comp time. If that happens every day, then that'd be an hour and a quarter a week at time and a half. Is that correct? And I don't think that's what the council was intending. I think we were pretty clear a few months ago that these are the hours. Take your 30-minute break. Don't be clocking in ahead of time. Exactly. I just wanted to make sure. Yeah. So everybody agree with that?
That was my understanding.
I wanted to make sure we were very clear on that. So that'll be on you to make sure that gets.
We didn't authorize them to just willy-nilly their time.
And we have the no time policy, which basically time and a half of comp time is the same as overtime.
Yep.
I just wanted to make sure it was absolutely clear.
They're set times and they're to abide by the clock.
Yeah, you're opening yourself up also if you allow them to clock in early to come back on you later and say, I was never compensated for these additional minutes I worked. So I think you have to be very definitive on, like Mike just said, these are the hours, these are the parameters, no exceptions.
I wonder, since our time, we go by the minute, don't
We do. It is.
we? So I wonder if that's how we should do it. Or if there's options, if it goes by the minute, then people have to be very on the minute.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
I know there's some places that you're allowed to, is it 5 or 7 minutes before, but it still counts as 8 o'clock.
Right.
And then 4:30, if you're 4:33, you're not going to get dinged.
Yeah, and that's the one thing with our by the minute clock. Very
That's where it can bite you.
Yeah,
That's where they gotta watch their time. And they clock in at 8 o'clock, not 7:58. 8 o'clock. 30 minutes for lunch, not 27.
it adds up. I mean, I ran some numbers on it. If it was a daily thing, it's about $2,700 a year. And that adds up.
Yeah.
All right, well, that should take care of that. And then,
I know at the school, it's, yeah, what? I think it's like 5 minutes before they allow it,
yeah,
but it still says that if you log in at, or clock in at 2:55, it still counts you, it's 3 o'clock.
I wonder if that's something we need to amend in our personnel policy or spell out in there so that there's never any issue on it.
I don't think it could hurt.
I'm just not, that way we're covered all the way around. Cause I understand it'd be real difficult for somebody to sit there and wait and, 8 o'clock. I don't mind a minute here and there, but then I don't think you should be expected to be paid for a minute here or there either.
Yeah.
It should be that little bit of leeway and it's an 8-hour day.
Just out of curiosity, is Kelly classified as exempt or non-exempt?
She is non-union.
I didn't ask if she was
No,
union.
no.
I said, is she exempt or
No,
non-exempt?
she's exempt.
She is exempt.
Well,
No, non-exempt. She gets overtime if she works overtime.
correct. Yeah,
She's non-exempt.
correct.
You are exempt,
Completely.
but she's non-exempt?
Yeah.
Okay, so it would apply to her.
Yes.
Okay.
And then the next one is the public works comp time day off during the week. It had come to my attention that there was some issue with that, and I looked through the personnel policy and I didn't know what the issue is. It just got brought up that there were some unhappy people about the way it was working.
It does say on the personnel policy that if you do work the weekend, it is put that 8 hours towards that next Friday off. So that you do get a 3 hour or a 3 day
3-day
weekend.
Yep. Is that what's been happening?
We had been taken off the day when before we've been on call for the weekend.
Doing what?
So is that what the issue is?
Yeah, for the
Yeah,
most part,
that's-
if we work that weekend, we have to take a day off that week, whatever day it is. And then we,
Instead of the 3-day weekend.
Yeah, because when I read the personnel policy, it seemed like it was.
Why
It was passed down to me that-
why aren't you following Paul is my question.
It was passed down stating so that we don't get into that overtime aspect. So that we.
Oh,
get paid
I see.
hours off
Yeah,
in
okay.
that week.
And I thought we made our policy to support this.
Yeah, I guess we didn't understand that would then mess with the 3-day weekend. It was helping with that. If you worked one weekend, then you had a 3-day weekend the next weekend. But now if you're doing it the day before, you're not getting any overtime, which is fine, but then you're not getting a 3-day weekend.
Right.
That's what the-
8 hours.
yeah,
calculated up.
Kind of hard on us all.
So what's the solution?
And you guys are on a 40-hour or 80-hour? You're on the 40-hour
40.
week, right? So if it was on the 80-hour week, would that make it work? That's like the police are on the 80-hour week, so they don't have the overtime until 80.
Until 80.
So that's what I'm thinking might be a solution. Then you have, it doesn't
Then
matter
you
that
have that other amount.
And then you'll be able to get the 3-day.
you get your
into
3-day
that
weekend.
next week.
You get your 3-day weekend.
So that would accumulate into that. That would
That would work, wouldn't it?
work to be able to. Correct.
So we'll have to look into that.
And we're gonna have to look at the union.
Because
contract
of,
as
yeah,
well.
depending on how it's in the union contract. I don't know if it states anything about the 40-hour week in the union contract or not.
I didn't see anything before that it stated anything about a 40-hour week in the evening.
But I think that's a way to solve it if that's acceptable.
Yeah, that would.
yeah, I think so.
That would help that.
Cause it would still be no overtime, but you get the 3-day weekends.
Right. If we,
What do you guys think, Derwin?
From afar, it's hard for me to get the feel for the conversation, but if you're looking at the technical stuff, I think that Jody, you're right. If it's based on an 80-hour, you're talking 80 hours over a 2-week period where you can actually do the math to allow them to have the 3-day weekend. Is that what you're trying to achieve here?
Right.
That might be the easiest fix.
That's what my thought was. Bill, what do you think? Bill?
Is this, we're strictly talking about hourly, right?
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, I think what Derwin just said makes sense. He's just reiterating kind of what you've been deliberating over. We'll say that I'm not an expert on that. I've always been contracted and salaried forever, so some of these details, dealing with it, even from a managerial perspective, or when you'd have insight on that owner, and obviously also have more insight on that than I can bring, but it seems to make sense, especially when everyone just.
So that's just something we'll need to dig into. We'll make sure there's nothing in the union contract that says it's a 40-hour week.
I mean, I think I'd like a motion to move forward with this pending clarification from the union contract.
Oh, I'll make that a motion.
Let's see. Yeah, we should be able to do that because we're on the discussion here. So the motion is to move to a 80-hour pay cycle, I guess it would be.
Yep.
80-hour pay cycle for public works employees.
Yes.
And then the last part pending review.
See what we gotta do. And then we can, yeah, if we can move forward, we move forward on it.
Yep.
Should make people happy. I get a second on that?
So
Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Post same sign. All right, see what you can find on it, Brett.
Will do.
That moves us up to the resolution accepting bids. You wanna come and talk with us, Chris?
Sure.
Bring us the good news?
Yes. The good news is the city, you guys received a nice low bid. You had 5 bidders interested in the project.
What was the estimate you guys were working with?
The estimate was around 3.3 million. I had actually taken the numbers that we saw from a bid the week earlier for the city of Walker, which was again really low for them. And so when I put those numbers in, compared it to, what you guys have for construction, it came in around 3.1-ish or so. So, this is even better than that. Yeah.
There wasn't a huge disparity other than the one. The rest of them were not too far out of the game, huh?
Not too far, no. No, Slim Brothers, the 5th one there, they were pretty stacked up with the work they said, but still wanted to get a bid in.
I figured, yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, based on the bids at hand and knowing R.L. Larson, having worked with them on quite a few projects, it's my recommendation that the city can move forward with accepting the bids from them. So
Feel good about the way they operate.
yeah, they're top notch.
How much of that cost is water?
If we look at the 3rd page in on your handout there, I don't know, do the guys on screen have?
Gentlemen, if you'll both check your emails, I sent it to you right now, the document we're looking at.
So what I did, I broke apart the bid, the new unit cost, broke it into what we had for the tables within that preliminary engineering report that we all went through. And first table here, estimated project costs as bid now. So we can see, you know, if there's a difference, it's noted in red as a lower amount. So sanitary sewer, that came in lower than what was preliminary looked at. However, the sanitary sewer service lines came in just a bit higher. Water main and water service lines came in higher. Where the city saw the most deduct is on the street and storm sewer column. So, you know, I can say what I'm seeing in the bid prices is that the contractor wanted to put more money on the underground pipe installation. And they had less going into the street work. They had lower bid amounts. And that was basically work that their subconsultants are gonna be doing. So R.L. Larson is the underground piece of this. They will do most of the underground trenching and placement of the pipes. They'll have subs for concrete work, curb and gutter, sidewalk, and also then for paving, stuff like that. That's, you know, that's in line with what I'm seeing here. That's why there's such a big deduct on the storm and street items, is because a lot of the cost savings was in the street items themselves.
Now that you have the bid amounts, how long will it be before we would find out how much the state is gonna put in?
That's always a good question. I can never say for sure. I wish I could. With the PFA, we're gonna turn these numbers around right away to them, get these off to them. We've already preliminary talked to them and said, you know, we'd like to see these as quick as we can. Knowing that, you know, it could take a month. You know, I hate to say that, but
Dealing with the government.
yeah.
Construction hypothetically could start, and I hate June-ish. I hate saying it, but so we're still kind of on schedule pending the state, what they say.
We are on schedule. You know, there's two routes the city could take here. You could tonight say, yes, we approve the resolution. You can do that regardless, but you approve the resolution tonight. We work with the contractor to get contracts out to them so they can start working on the contracts. And then set up a pre-construction meeting and see when they want to start. And then wait for the PFA grant and loan determination to come in. You're gonna get the low interest loan through the PFA for sure. My gut feeling, just being in the industry and knowing what you have for your water system debt, for the new tower and for the new plant, that's gonna drive where you should see some grant in that mix, but I just can't say how much. Regardless of that, if it's just a loan, it is a really nice 1% to 2% interest loan is usually what they have. So that's the other benefit, the big benefit of going with PFAs. So 20-year term at that lower interest loan.
Other thing we'll have to keep in mind. So the street right here going up by the liquor store is part of it, and Second Street, Midsummer,
Oh, yeah.
And down by the beach
and
too.
down by the beach. That's,
Down by the beach,
I mean, it's gonna be what it is, but it's gonna be a messy summer regardless.
I'm sure we've done this in other communities, work with the contractor, let him know the dates and timing and see what they can work around with if there's an opportunity. The other way to look at it is, well, we're in here 1 year and we're gone for the next 40.
Until 28, when the state goes through and tears up 7.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
But in these areas.
Yeah.
So you've got some assessment samples in here the way it looks.
Yeah, so then the next table takes into the splitting out as far as city cost, accessible costs. See the prior column in green there, what the numbers were before. That again, the biggest item that changed, the biggest, I should say, is the street work. When you look at that. Concrete curbing actually stayed right around where I was estimating, so that was one thing to know. You know, otherwise, the piping is where we saw the more of the balance of the bid in there, so. And then the following table, that breaks it down even further into those costs per accessible front foot or each that we were looking at based on the item. Nothing too shocking there, except for maybe we look at the water main on Highway 87. The as-built cost came down quite a bit on that, from about 160 to about 90. Then if you look at the water service for 87, that cost went up extremely because they have to bore each water service under and across the highway and dig pits on either end and make the connection. So it's just a way of how they balance their operations and threw dollars at what they felt they wanted to throw dollars at. So that was probably the biggest difference.
And these are just very preliminary until we know what grant and
Right.
low interest loan and
Right.
all that good stuff.
You know, the one thing I should state with the PFA loan, you know, we talk about how they're funding the water system improvements. So they're not funding sanitary sewer improvements. But with funding the water system improvements, they're looking at the project going, okay, you have to tear up this street to get that new pipe in. So they're paying street replacement, removal and replacement costs under that financing.
That's good.
Yeah, that is. Yeah. That definitely helps. They will not pay for a new curb and gutter to be put in. That's an extra that the city wants to put in, help with stormwater drainage, curb appeal, and so forth, so. Yeah, I don't know if you want me to go through all the different scenarios on the assessments, but, you know, for the most part, they went down or stayed about the same, depending on, you know, if it was pipe heavy, if, you know, a lot had both water sewer services replaced. It could be a.
So as residents of the city would be looking at this, trying to figure out what's it gonna cost me. This information would still be higher than their cost will be because we don't know what the state's gonna do on the water at this point.
That's correct. We don't know if that grant dollar amount is going to be there and what it's gonna be. So that's gonna factor into it. It's gonna factor into, you know, as a council, we're gonna sit down at some point and say, okay, here's all the dollars at hand. How do we feel about these assessment rates? How does this look for the lots and the benefit received? I'll say a lot of cities that I've worked with, if they have the means, they'll help buy down those assessments with whatever revenues or pot of money they may have, enterprise funds they may have.
Well, you got that on the last page here, right?
That's on the last page, yeah. So that is a consideration for the council too, as far as what's available for the city in your enterprise fund to direct towards a project. Help bring down those high assessment dollars.
Then that doesn't leave those funds high and dry, right? These amounts or.
These amounts, I guessed on them.
No.
I want to make sure that I tell you that.
So we can get a pretty exact number here, council, if you'd like.
We actually have that sheet in there.
So I put 400 from the sewer enterprise and 500 from the water enterprise. Again, that's a council driven decision. I just put them in as here's a possibility.
That lowers the bond down considerably.
That's right, yeah. Now, keep in mind, there'd still be the loan for the PFA up above, and then your loan or your bond.
Yeah, I know. It's, we have, 760K in, water. and 560 in sewer.
So yeah, I won't dry them out.
Mhm.
I guess the way to look at that too, the way I look at your system. Well, let's start with your water system, brand new tower. Basically a brand new water plant. You're not gonna have much that's gonna go wrong with those pieces, which are the heart of the system. Plus with all the water main this project's replacing, you're gonna have very little cast iron pipe in the ground. And it's mainly under the Highway 71 project, with crossings here and there. So water system wise, you got pipe network that's all newer PVC material. It's not the old cast iron, and then the heart of your system is plus.
Then with your 71, we're gonna replace those cast iron crossovers too.
That's right.
So I had a citizen ask me, in fact, they showed me on their cell phone picture of it. Have you ever heard of plastic lining that goes inside of the old pipe?
Or sanitary sewer, yeah.
Because that person was wondering, would that be a cheaper option that would be available to us? And, I'm not an engineer, I don't know, but I said, I will ask the question and let you know what I found out.
Yeah, we're actually doing that on some of the sewer lines on this project.
You're doing it what?
We're actually doing that lining on some of the sewer lines. In the alleyways.
Okay,
Yeah, it's called cast in place pipelining. So, yeah, that's where we're seeing that. To do that on the water system, your pipe's too small. Initially, you want to put the bigger pipes in and have the good service line connections and all that, so. New hydrants and.
and just for when I talked to the citizen as to why wouldn't we do that lining throughout the entire system instead of replacing? What's the answer to tell that person?
So if I know Ron has the pictures, right? There are actual
I've
sections
seen,
of
I've
pipes,
seen the
right?
root debit station. I know that there's settling in some of the lines and all that, but is that the reason why?
Yeah, some of the lines do have some dips, some settlement in them. So that's one reason why we're not doing the sanitary lines that way. The other item is we're already digging the water main in, same street corridor.
So you keep to replace a pipe,
Yeah, it's cheaper to.
cost your PVC pipe, basically,
Right.
a little bit of labor. I can explain that to them.
Okay,
Thanks.
you're welcome.
So we still only know what we know at this point.
We still only know what we know. Again, it depends on council decision if you wanna, advance the contract forward with the contractor and get them started.
Well, in order to get the PFA numbers, we have to move forward. We won't know those until we
receive back that determination. If
if we don't get rolling, we're gonna be past these guys' comfort zone, I would think.
Yeah, that's the other thing. We don't want to hold off too long. We got a big project in front of us.
They take something else, why there we sit.
Right. And well, it's more so springs here too. Road restrictions are gonna come off here pretty soon. I've got a call today. They want to start in Walker in less than 2 weeks. And I'm like, oh, okay, here we go. It's not even gonna be the end of April. So that helps contractor complete the project.
So we end up with something half finished for the whole winter or something, if you start too late.
Yeah, doesn't sound good.
Jody, I have a question for Chris.
Sure.
Okay, Chris, I know we hired you guys on to be our professional engineers for this project. And you had quoted us a fee up front. I know there's been some deviation, expansion of the project and whatnot, but I did reach out to Brett the other day to see if you could provide a summary of costs related to your firm. When this, when the bids came in, 2.75, we understand that's for the construction part. What is the expense to the city and the taxpayers of Monaga for the engineering part of it on behalf of your company?
That's a good question, and I'm glad you brought it up because I did want to touch on that also. The numbers that I went through that are in the handout look at an increased amount for our construction services. So here's the whole picture. Again, we signed the contract back in 2023 with the city based on what we all knew about the project at hand. From then, the project scope has increased. You know, we've added the block of Birch here. We've added the block of First Street, next to the VFW and in front of the church. And also Second Street in front of the lumberyard, we added that. Whether it's street work or utilities, water, sewer, in those areas, you know, it plays into adding to the project. As a firm and as your city engineer, I knew those dollars upfront, what we had in place for designing the project and getting you to this point of getting the bids. And I told my team, here's the number. Can we stick within this and make it happen? Well, slightly over, but when you get that, I don't care about that. I'm not coming back to the city and saying, we need more cost, more money for our effort into the design aspect of the project. But I do need to revise the contract with the city in regards to the construction effort. That's more out of my role. You know, that's based on the time that we have to be alongside the contractor in the field, observing and inspecting. The documentation that goes into it also. So what I'm wanting to do is wait for the contractor's schedule to see what they're planning out for a timeline. I may be looking at 16 weeks as far as what I'm estimating in these new numbers, or they could be more like 22 weeks as far as an effort. So I want to know that. That way we can come back to the table, look at what those costs would be for the construction inspection. And then that carries into closing out the project too, because we'll have assessments in the end. We've added to the project scope again, so there's more involvement in that. But I really like to have that piece from the contractor as far as their schedule and have that as a basis for us all to then look at those new numbers. And, you know, not 2023 rates, 2026 rates for my employees. So
So your numbers are not in this estimated project total cost right now?
they are estimated. Yep. I bumped them up knowing that we need to look at it. And kind of gotta set a benchmark so you have some proper use of the numbers in front of you tonight. But that is yet to be determined and discussed and approved.
So are you anticipating, another 20% on top of your initial bid back in 2023? I know we have 3 or 4 other engineering firms come in and they gave us their best shot. You guys came in the low. I mean, the project looks like it's gonna go forward. Some of the unknowns, that you just talked about, are they gonna be a substantial increase, to the cost of your engineering, professional services? Or do you anticipate something 20%, 30%, 40%, 50% higher than what your initial bid was?
Good question. I guess I don't have that at my fingertips. Let me see.
You've done enough of these projects. You've got your new base figures for 2026 on your in-house costs, but I'm not putting you on the spot here. I'm just trying to get a general feel for this. So if we go ahead and approve this tonight, I would like some type of ballpark figure of how much more the engineering part of this is going to add to the project as well. Just so we're not surprised that all of a sudden you come in with a 50% increase over what the initial bid was. And I hope you understand where I'm coming from. I'm trying to protect the city and the taxpayers here.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I would say probably 25 to 35% if I, you know, just off cuff, that's quick numbers. You know, the thing you guys got going for you, location wise, my field inspector, designer on this project is Lane Hillica, who lives right in town. So, you know, his travel time is nil to none. And he's, you know, right here. So
Is that, so the number you have there for that total cost, is that close then, do you think, to including that much? I mean,
it's close.
pretty
Yes.
close in there.
It's pretty close. Yeah. As close as I could guesstimate without knowing the contractor schedule.
That was that 3.6, right?
That's right.
3.649.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, there's also project construction contingencies that we put evaluation in for. I set that at 8%. We may look at bringing that down if we need to, or if we can. That amounted up about 200 grand, so I don't think that we'd ever see that much used just for the unknowns. There are unknowns.
Well, especially under those streets, 70 years that pipe's been under there, and
Right.
street's been over for 40 and how well is everything documented 40 and 70 years ago?
That's right.
Did that answer your question, Dylan?
Yeah, I mean, it did. I just want to make sure people are aware of the fact that there's gonna be additional engineering costs, this project, and I know Kurt's gonna do your best to try to get us some solid numbers as this thing plays out, but, you know, it's still real dollars that have to be paid out. And I think we need to be aware, you know, so we're not caught off guard. I don't like surprises, especially when you're talking this kind of dollars.
Agreed. Yep. Let's get more information. We definitely need to address that as we go forward, so
Okay, I appreciate that. Thank you.
you're welcome.
Anybody else have questions?
So if we authorize the resolution accepting the bid, we can still back out if we don't like what aid we're gonna get from the state, right?
Good, yeah. Yeah. If there is no grant money, you'd have to weigh that as a council decision to,
Well, I just wanted to make sure that we weren't putting the hook in our mouth at this point.
Warm so far. Anything else? I guess otherwise we can go ahead with the resolution.
This is resolution number 2026-11, resolution accepting bids. Whereas pursuant to an advertisement for bids for the proposed 2026 utility and street improvements, bids were received, opened, and tabulated according to law, and the following bids were received complying with the advertisement. See bid tabulation. And whereas it appears that R.L. Larson Excavating, Inc. of St. Cloud, Minnesota is the lowest responsible bidder. Now therefore be it resolved by the City Council of Monaga, Minnesota. 1, the mayor and city clerk treasurer are hereby authorized and directed to enter into the attached contract with R.L. Larson Excavating, Inc. of St. Cloud, Minnesota, in the name of the city of Monaga for the 2026 utility and street improvements, contingent upon the city receiving satisfactory funding from the Public Facilities Authority according to the plans and specifications therefore approved by the city council and on file in the office of the city administrator, clerk treasurer. The city administrator, clerk treasurer is hereby authorized and directed to return forthwith to all bidders the deposits made with their bids, except that the deposit of the successful bidder and the next lowest bidder shall be retained until a contract has been signed. Adopted by the city council this the 13th day of April, 2026.
Keith,
Second.
any other discussion? Well, all those in favor of resolution 2026-11, say aye. Aye. Same sign. Forward. Probably you need us to sign those tonight so we can go forward.
yeah, get them to me when you can.
Yep.
Yeah. All right,
Thank you, Chris.
thank you.
If the folks could hold on and you can walk out the door with it.
Whoa. This is the master copy. If you want to make a copy, just get it over. Okay.
If that works.
All right, that brings us up to the election judge approval.
We're still looking for some additional election judges as well, but this so far is what we have.
Change the venue on it.
No, we'll be here in the city council chambers.
Looking here was approved changing of venue for the regular council meeting. Is that on the same day?
Oh, yeah, the city council meeting's on the 10th, elections are on the 11th. We're gonna have all the voting equipment in here. Yes. And, staff's just requesting if, the council would consider a change of venue.
Can we,
Where would we meet?
check with Laura to see in the training room where we have the joint meetings there?
That or the school.
I'd say. I mean, we've had meetings there in the training room of the.
If
Greenwood
it's a
Connections.
normal meeting like this where nobody's here, that's plenty big.
Yeah,
And I can coordinate with Greenwood, make sure our notice is on the front door. And then, just let people know if, there's citizens wandering around, steer them downstairs.
And we would have to do something different for our live feed.
I'd have obviously more than enough time to make sure everything's coordinated and set up. So I would just really probably import that camera. The council on Teams, it just wouldn't be visible.
So we will approve for GWC pending verification.
How many judges are you looking to have?
Judges are by, political orientation. We have enough, Democrats, we have enough independents. We need some more Republicans, I believe is how,
How many do you need?
equal number. I don't have an exact number.
Well, how many more you need to?
I think we need two more.
Two more?
Republicans, yeah.
Two Republicans.
Yes, that's right.
Training coming up for that.
Correct, they do.
Where's that held?
It's gonna be at Wadena County and then also at Sourcewell.
Looking for a motion to approve the listed head election judge and election judges for 2026
We'll move.
and changing the venue to GWC pending verification.
Yeah.
The second to that,
so
Keith. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All same sign. Then we go to excess properties.
Right, the discussion between Public Works and, the police department was, they like to get rid of, the old squad. And here it is. Would you like me just to read it? Okay. Resolution number 2026-09, a resolution declaring a 2016 Ford Explorer as surplus property and authorizing its sale. Whereas the city of Monaga owns a 2016 Ford Explorer Police Interceptor that is no longer needed for city operations. And whereas Public Works has determined that the vehicle is surplus to the city's needs. And whereas the city has obtained an estimated market value of $1,000 to $4,000 for the vehicle. And whereas the city council desires to sell the vehicle in its current as is, where is condition without warranty. Now therefore be it resolved by the city council of the city of Monaga, Minnesota as follows. 1, the 2016 Ford Explorer Police Interceptor, VIN 1FM5K8AR9GGC3 36669 is hereby declared surplus property of the city of Monaga. 2, the Public Works Department is authorized to sell the vehicle for $2,000 or best offer, or through any other appropriate method in accordance with Minnesota state law and city policy. 3, individuals interested in purchasing the vehicle may contact City Hall to arrange a viewing. 4, any proceeds from the sale shall be remitted to the city for processing in accordance with established city financial procedures, adopted by the City Council of the City of Monaga, Minnesota, this the 13th day of April, 2026.
I wonder if we should have a minimum on that.
And should you have, this is gonna be by sealed bid too, right? Or did I miss something?
We haven't determined exactly how we're going to sell it. We're very interested in getting rid of it and getting it off our books. However, very willing to entertain the method that the council chooses.
I know when we've done the sealed bids before, we don't seem to get diddly for them.
Correct.
Um,
There are, well, if Ron was here, you could talk about it. There is a state website where you can post surplus property. I don't know what kind of traction it's received. But again,
I'm thinking we should at least have a minimum on it.
Well, it's, sell the vehicle for 2,000 or best.
No,
offer, I'd
that's
say
2,000 best offer. I mean, I don't want somebody best offers $500. So I was thinking we should have some kind of a minimum
Say $2,000.
as the minimum.
Yeah.
Well, if we really want to get rid of it, and it says that it's 1,000 to 4,000, when it's at the 1,000 is
Is the minimum. I would be fine with that, Derwin. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, if it's excess inventory, if we can get something out of it, it's better than leaving it in the inventory. $1,000 seems a little cheap to me. But if it's the property they just want to move off our inventory, I think, you know, if you get $1,000, so be it. But the only thing I'm worried about is once the word gets out in the street, if the first guy that walks through the door with $1,000 going to walk away with it, or are you going to allow? That I think there needs to be a little more clarity on how that's going to work, because if the word gets out tonight and somebody's there at 8 o'clock tomorrow morning with $1,000 check, do they own that vehicle? Have you given everybody a fair chance to walk in and do the same? I guess I'm a little bit concerned that maybe we should. I think we should still do sealed bid with a minimum $1,000 price. And we did that on the property we just sold here a month or so ago, and that would allow everybody to get a fair shot at it.
Like a 2-week window or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, even 2-week or 10-day, or just try to accelerate the timeline just so we can get it off our hands. But be fair about it so everybody gets the same opportunity. Then somebody that walks in right away tomorrow morning and buys it for $1,000, when let's say buyer number 2 would have come in and said, "Well, I would have gave you 2,000."
So should we add a number 5 on this resolution then? Saying minimum bid 1,000, 2-week window starting, or 10-day window starting whatever date.
Wednesday.
I would definitely support that.
Let's see,
That would be,
say Wednesday, the
If that would be the
newspaper
consensus.
goes out, so.
Are we gonna have an ad in the newspaper?
I mean, ideally, I'd like to avoid that just because, yeah, we're putting more money against it. But again, I'll leave it.
How's the word gonna get out?
We'll Facebook it. We'll post a flyer. Obviously, our viewers tonight will know.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, in light of this, my thoughts as I hear everybody talking is, I appreciate your intent, Derwin, just to give everybody a fair shot. At the end of the day, that we can get hung up on trying to be fair to everybody and we drag our feet. I know there's an end date, would you say 2 weeks or something of that nature? But if our objective is to get it off the book, I'm not trying to give it away, but if our objective is to just get it moving on to somebody that needs it, because we clearly don't, then I would say, you know what, come first. I don't know why we need to hang on to it for 2. If our objective is to make money, we want to hang on to that, and try to maximize that $2,000 type of thing. But on the other hand, sometimes these types of things just take a lot of bandwidth that's unnecessary. So you throw it up on Facebook, They were asking if their best offer. I'm just like, on the draw and wants to show up. Somebody shows up tomorrow at 9 o'clock in the morning with a check, I say, congratulations. We wash our hands, they drive away. That's just me though. I'm just wondering what our main objective is. Is it to get it moving, get it off, and then obviously, get a little capital from it?
Yeah,
Or is it to kind of play the bidding game and, because who's managing this? Because surely, I don't want to speak for you, brother, but you want to, mess around too much either. It's almost like, if anywhere else, if you walk into a store, you lay down the money, you take away your product. So that's my thought.
I disagree with that. This is public property that I think everybody in the public should have a fair shot at it. And I might just say, I'm gonna make a statement after we pass this resolution. I'm gonna say I'm gonna buy that vehicle for $1,000 rent tonight, and I'm gonna have somebody walk in before this meeting's closed. They're gonna hand you $1,000 check, so I own it. That's all said. That's what you're promoting here, Bill.
yeah,
So if that's the case, that's exactly what, if that's the route we go, I'm gonna get on the phone right after this resolution's passed, and there'll be somebody walking into City Hall tonight and buying that vehicle from me. I'd rather see it put out, everybody gets a fair shot, 10 days, whatever. I'm guessing you're gonna get more than $1,000 for that vehicle.
but I would say the $1,000 minimum closed bids as of close of business on 4/24. That gives us basically 2 weeks, but 9 business days to give people an opportunity to get the word out and whatnot. It's because the object is twofold, Bill. Number one, yes, we do want to move it. But number two, we want to give everybody a chance and we want to get as much as we can for it because it helps with the city budget, helps with taxpayers.
Well, it's also city property, so we have to follow what state statute and what policy is, so.
Well, I must have missed that. What is the state statute and policy? A 2-week window?
No, I don't believe so.
No,
But you're always trying to do the best you can for the taxpayers. Because it helps with our
or
taxes.
the guidance of the leagues, or I can't remember what the. Would have
Sure.
to, would have to look, but it's just,
One of these, I just, trying to put that out there just to make sure that we're not getting hung up on some details that are. Sure, everybody's feelings aren't hurt. It's a ruthless endeavor, because at some point, somebody's feelings are gonna get hurt. So that's why you just pull up your big boy pants, in my opinion. But, listen, we can move on. We spent enough time on this.
Okay, so what I'm proposing adding there is for number 5, $1,000 minimum. Closed bids as of close of business on 4/24.
To be opened on the subsequent Monday,
sure.
Open on the 27th.
to be opened on the 27th.
Open and awarded on 27.
Get the word out.
Well, that vehicle's been rolled hard and put away wet, so. And the police department
Do you need
got,
a
they got the
I'll
juice
make a
run
motion to
out of it.
approve the resolution with the amended number 5?
Can I get a second?
Second,
Any more discussion? Otherwise, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
aye,
Opposed, same sign. Get her sold. Listed. All right, then. Item H, the added item was the learning center discussion. I got a call from the superintendent of schools. Due to their crowded facility over there, they are forced to kick Head Start out of the school again. Derwin, you're familiar with that process. The learning center is available. Obviously, we haven't had anybody interested. So this is through Mahooby. This is the same people that had the Head Start in there originally. The gal we talked with today was actually a teacher when it first opened. And she's still involved with it. So it brings a use to the building. It brings us a little money with their offer is $3,500 because they're on obviously tight funding and grants and whatnot.
is that a month or
Oh,
a
that's
year?
for the year. Right now we get 0
and we pay all the costs of keeping it heated and cooled.
Yeah.
I feel it's a good service to the community. We keep Head Start here. The focus, as that gal said, when it was separate like that, it actually brought more people in. Some people just have a thing about going to the school where this separate little building is a little more attractive. It's already set for their needs because it was built basically for them. Back when it was built, it's got the shorter toilets and the shorter
Right.
vanities
For the
and,
kids.
all that.
So would they want the entire building
No,
or just the
that
half
half,
that's
just the
vacant?
half that's vacant.
Yeah.
The food shelf would stay in place. They worked with them before that was there when they were there before. Never had any
Backyard.
issues. The what?
The backyard.
The backyard's still fenced,
Yep.
just like it was. They were impressed with that. They would bring in some playground equipment, just like they had before. The only thing the city would do, which I think we already do, is we gotta clean the sidewalk, we gotta clean the parking area there anyway.
We'd have to empty out the stuff that's stored in there.
Yep, we gotta get everything out of there for them. I told them we wouldn't be voting on this tonight. I just wanted to bring it up for discussion, see if anybody had any issues with that, or if the consensus is we could move forward. If we move forward, it would be at the next meeting that we would approve.
And are they looking for the 27 school year, 26, 27
It would start, they
next fall?
would probably need to be in there July 1st, I believe they said, in order to start getting it ready. 'Cause then they start right after Labor Day, of course.
Now, would they take over heating and electric?
It would all be part of that 3,500.
So we continue to pay that.
But
So we're just defraying the expenses.
Yes.
Okay.
And providing I feel we're
service,
providing a
yeah.
good service to the
Yeah, I
community.
agree.
So that's something that'll be on the agenda to be approved or disapproved next month. I just wanted to let people be aware that we have an opportunity to at least get some use out of it.
I believe it was, in past, the janitors from the school would come over and one janitor would come over and clean it and then. So.
Yeah, they don't anymore, but they would take care of their own cleaning
Yeah.
on the inside.
Yeah, that's how you,
We would only be
Yeah.
responsible for the
yeah,
outside.
yeah.
And we already, we keep it heated all winter.
I think that'd be a good,
Yeah.
a fabulous use of the building. I think that'd be great.
So I will at least let them know that the response is positive, but we won't vote on it till next month. That way they can start kind of making plans, and then they want to lease year to year, the 30-day out. Well, when they're in the school year, they're gonna be there for the school year. Monaga continues to draw more kids, so I don't see where they're going to have, all of a sudden have room at the school again. They were down to very small class size because they
Back in
only
COVID.
had so many rooms, so. So I just feel like it's an opportunity to get some use out of the building, but we will see how it goes for the next meeting.
Is there a
Yeah,
reason-
Jody, I would agree with everything that you and Mike just said. I'm definitely in favor of moving forward with something like that.
So I would consider this council consensus then, because I'm gonna owe them a walkthrough and start the coordination moving.
Is there a reason we're not voting on it tonight, really, Jody?
I guess we could.
Well, they're gonna present
They
the
have-
contract.
They have to go
and-
through their end too.
Yeah,
Well, they could still do their end. I mean, is there any reason we couldn't approve it tonight? And then they know the city is accepting.
All they wanted was a feeling. They just wanted me to get back to them with how I felt the council responded. And because I had told them, I don't like acting on something
Okay.
without thinking on it a bit.
All right.
But it seems to me the feeling is it's a good idea. I'll let them know that and then they can get going on their end and
I think the word slam dunk might be appropriate.
all right. That gets us to department committee report from Brian, campground and building maintenance.
Good evening, gentlemen.
and just a quick recap, from the work session. The main do out that the council had for this was, identifying the insurance contingencies, and we did do that, and very much in our favor.
And the legal issues, the insurance and legal, that is the two things that were asked about. Potential liability,
Oh, yeah,
the
no,
legal issues.
no, we're
And
perfectly.
then I saw that was covered.
Yes, sir. Without further ado,
Okay, you guys should, yep, you should have all the bids there that came in. I split the J Brothers up. Because we only needed one bottle filler out at the campground, not two. But we have one going out at the beach, one at the campground. I split it up, so that kind of came to 2666.
At the campground, would that go by where the restrooms are?
Yep, yep,
So that was,
those old ones that would come out.
Yeah.
Yep, we put that water bottle filler there. And then at the beach, we wanna raise the hot water heater there as well that we did out at the campground, because we were experiencing a lot of rust and everything, and we got those lifted up, put them on some plastic lifts, and it's working out great out there, and I wanna get that done in the beach as well before anything happens to that water heater. The beach sand, we were able to reclaim almost all of it.
Oh, great.
The lake levels were down so low, and there was a massive 300 yard, I don't know how long it was, but of sand that I was able to just grab and haul and just hog it right back up to where we
So-
needed it.
Are you gonna have to buy any sand or?
Not at all.
Um,
When we talked about the swim buoys, with the floaties of the slide tower and the trampoline, I was hoping we could get a couple ramps. These ramps are almost 5 feet long and about, I don't know, 3 feet wide. And they can go in between the trampoline and the tower. That would actually give lifeguards a spot to where they could walk back and forth between them on the water. Then I think the runways would be a great thing out there for them, gives people a place to rest and everything. And then there's these ramps. The ramps will go, it allows people to come out of the water and just grab right up onto them and get up and out of the water. And they'll be placed at every spot that they can be placed. There'll be 6 of them to place them. We'll put them wherever we can, just to help people when they're having a blast and get tired fast swimming, so they'll have a place to go real quick.
Do these devices have a recommended maximum number of people on the device?
Well, when I was looking at this whole piece would be like a massive water park floating on there. It had a capacity of 55 people at any given time. So I'm figuring with the tower, you could probably have 3 people on it, maybe 4. The trampoline, I would figure 6, 7, 8, maybe. Going at, I mean, depending on their weight, of course. A bunch of guys like my size out there jumping around 8 or 9 of them.
You test it.
I'm already hurting myself thinking about it, but yeah. And then I spoke with West Central about the high resolution camera, and their number came in at $495 for the initial installation, and $10 a month after that with the camera live.
The 495 includes install?
That's install and the camera.
That's
and all.
installed, okay.
Yep. And that's where we at. Now, one of the things I wanted to mention, the other day after we had our meeting, I went to Lakes, and there was a lady there, and she just came up to me and said, "I absolutely love your idea." And I was like, "Which idea?" And she goes, "The floaties on the beach." I'm like, "Oh, all right. Well, yeah, thank you." And she goes, "As a lake owner, a homeowner, I absolutely enjoyed sitting there in the evenings watching all the kids play out in the ramps, because they haven't done it in years, when they were jumping off the floating raft out there." And she was just overwhelmed and how much she enjoyed watching that. And she says, now with these floaties, there could be even more kids out there having a blast, screaming and hollering and splashing around. And I was like, well, thank you. And then I was at Holiday, and another lady came up to me and said she really liked the idea too. So that was 2 citizens of town that are all for the idea.
That's great.
So, but that's where we're sitting. Nothing in the campground has changed. Everything on the concrete, crushed concrete and the class 5. I got those numbers. So, but we're sitting at the grand total so far of 34,471.04 out of 40. So,
You only need 2 loads of class 5?
yeah, 2 each. That's basically out there just for maintenance out on the pads and everything. If something happens and in road repairs and stuff out for the park.
In their bids for the construction, they already have all their fill.
Yes, as for the primitive sites, yes, both estimates have their fill and everything figured out.
And I have not found a logger to cut trees yet.
Okay.
We ended up late. So very iffy at this point. I got one more to talk to, but we missed the mark with if everything would have still been froze, they would have been able to buzz through it probably, but I got one more shot.
Okay.
I'll keep you posted on that.
And actually on the campground stuff, do we put all that out for bids? For the new expansion project?
We don't have to. We can. I mean, obviously, we would want to get more than one at least, you know,
Yeah,
we'd want to contact some people.
cause that would be like all the, even for like the electrical, the plumbing. I know we got initials just so we knew where we were at. But I had one of the contractors from this area, didn't know anything about it, and he said he would have liked to put in a
We can certainly do that.
bid for the electrical portion of it.
Once we get to the point where we know we don't know if we're gonna do it unless we get that,
Yeah.
we gotta get that grant.
And that's what I'd said, that the stuff that was put out initially was
Well,
preliminary, so we knew where we were at, but he said he would like to put in a bid for the,
I would certainly be in favor of that.
But I mean, I think just given the timeline that we're kind of forced to play on now with the expansion, we can be really deliberate about this.
but it's also, like Derwin said, we're spending taxpayers' money. So
Yeah.
I'd say that we should have at least everybody have a fair chance at, I mean, who knows? I mean, it could come higher, it could come lower. Never know till get more, so.
Yeah, those are the ones you gotta pay. I'm trying to get somebody to come in and just take the wood. Gotta get the wood out of the deal.
We'll talk to the Amish.
Yeah. Timeline. But yeah, there's like I said, there's still a shot, but couldn't say for sure. So we're under budget by $5,500 from what we had basically said was the max on.
Yep.
Looking to move forward and not move forward.
I think they're all good improvements to the beach. And we got just a really gem sitting there with the public beach, and I think all of these are improvements to it and the campground improvements as well. So I'll make a motion to authorize expenditure of the funds as presented.
Question, which one were you, the buoys? You wanted the taller one or the shorter one?
So there
So
will
we got
be,
two of them here.
yep, okay, so there should be
This one,
5 of these
okay,
and 2 of the side ones. These ones will be closer to shore and off to the
okay, all
side.
right, that makes sense. You know, if that was, if you were giving, like, these are the two options for all of them or not, so.
No, yeah. 5 of the cylinders or cigarettes, they call them, and then 2 of the white cowboys hats.
I'll second Mike's motion.
Any more discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Bye.
Bill have to leave us.
I believe you did. I don't know exactly what time.
And now we will be posting new notice for the campground. New signs for the campground.
To the beach.
That's one, excuse me,
Yes, we're completely revamping everything. We also, you want me to talk this? Okay, right. Because of the nature of these obstacles, right? We need to, first of all, safety and, we're still kicking around ideas on how we're gonna implement to have control. One of them is, first and foremost, if you go on our obstacles, you have to have a life vest on, period, the end. Second, before you go out to the obstacles, you have to you have to read the rules with a lifeguard and then either a waterproof stamp or a wristband to know that, hey, you read the rules, you know what we're asking, you know what you're doing, go play.
how about the days when the lifeguard isn't on duty?
Obstacles are closed.
How will we enforce?
How are you
it?
gonna enforce that?
That'll be the hardest part.
I know,
Or is it it's closed and if you go,
It's at
you're
your own
tough
risk.
luck, your own risk?
correct. Yeah,
It'll
that's,
be the same as our sign that says when the lifeguards are off duty, you swim at your own risk.
yes, exactly.
And I guarantee you, there'll be people on. Cause I was one of them people when I was a kid. The beach closed, the lifeguard says you must come up on the beach. As Soon as they left, everybody's back in the water until the cops came by, and then you hide behind the raft. Hide behind the raft, wait.
I mean, you know, when I have to look, it's exactly that, right? When I have to look at this, as long as the city's protected, our liabilities are covered. If they want to take matters into their own hands after hours, council,
Yeah, the signage has to be very specific and
I'll tell you, I think the hardest one to enforce is gonna be you have to wear a life jacket to be out on those floating buoys and trampoline.
Well, and that's what we,
It's gonna be a hard
that's why
one
we're
to
hoping at
enforce.
least 4 lifeguards, so at least one could be on shore. One could be standing out on the runways between them, making sure that everybody has one while they're on. And then they can take
it's
breaks.
something that's very easy to spot though, too.
It really is.
It's an instant, ah,
Well, I say that because you go to the beach, how many of those kids are in the water without a life jacket?
well, and so, you know, our thought behind the Life Fest is, you know, these aren't going to be in the shallow end. Okay, you're going to be swimming out a little bit. Plus you're going to be climbing up, jumping off, climbing up, jumping off. There's a chance that, hey, you know what, kid might just get a little tuckered out. And the last thing we want is you tired in the water without some kind of flotation.
Oh, I don't, I'm not arguing against it, understand that. I'm just saying it's gonna be hard to enforce.
we'll figure it out.
We're gonna,
Figures go.
you know, we're gonna do what we can to keep those control mechanisms in there. And
All right, so we're approved to move forward.
did we get, that was a 4-0 on?
Yeah, so I'll build it out. We have the, whatever you have going on.
So speaking of lifeguards and swimming instructors, any progress on that?
Nothing yet, it's still dead water, not to use a bad pun, but. Yeah, I'm hopeful, I really am, and I'm hoping that, by doing this, we can bring lifeguard lifestyle back, you know, I mean, it's been dead for so long, and I wanna make something so that these kids will wanna leave their devices and start doing something to make some money.
Did we get that job posting out on Indeed?
It's out.
And make any contact yet with the Red Cross instructors that train lifeguards?
I have not had a chance this last week to do that, but I will focus on that tomorrow. As we're approaching the middle of May here, I'll be resuming most of my park and rec duties. And then that's gonna be right on my top of my list, so.
So I would imagine that right now, other communities that have needs of lifeguards with swimming pools and this, that,
Absolutely.
they're reaching out, trying to get those
Yep.
kids on staff. So
Right,
the longer we wait, the less probability of getting someone.
we will lose our chance if we
Yep.
don't jump on it,
That's what I'm saying.
but I'll be doing it tomorrow.
All right.
All right, thank you, gentlemen.
Unfortunately, I received word, Laura had
Byron.
something pressing she had to attend to. The same with Laura, is unable to be here today.
Always got her. We've got their board minute report. Anybody see anything in there that needed discussion? Do I accept the motion to approve the monthly report and financial agreement connections? So moved. Second? Second. All right. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Same sign, carries 4-0. Okay. That takes care of that part. And now we will
go into closed session. Evaluation of the performance of a city employee, closing pursuant to Minnesota statute 13D.05 subdivision 3A.
3A or 2?
3A for this one.
So it was listed wrong here then. 2B it says. On the minutes.
Yep, that was a whole different. That's why we changed that heading for that. Changed the. Okay, amended the.
And then I think we're planning on doing both these back to back, right?
Yep.
And if you would, please, close session part B.
Want to do part B first?
Well, no, we'll do, the first one first. Just read them. So, it's in the record.
Okay,
on
the-
So.
The closed set, we'll do a part B closed session also.
I'm going to interject here. Open meeting law requires that you close it and go back into open session for each closed meeting.
Okay.
So, that's how it's gonna be.
Okay.
In that case, we're gonna go off stream. And thank you everyone for joining us.